At the end of the day, what we know, the intention and the purpose of this, why do we do this? We do this to really light a fire in the minds of the next generation, right, and to really be an example that it's possible, and knowing that by our example, other people can shift, they can make a difference, and they can have an extraordinary life.
That's lovely.
So thank you for being an example of extraordinary living.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely,
I'm excited. I've been a fan of the cast, and so it's a pleasure and a blessing to be here and be able to share with the world just a little bit about what I know and hopefully inspire somebody.
All day.
Yeah.
Let's make it happen. So tell us who you are and what do you do?
My name is Daniel Kasidi. I'm the founder and CEO of Rastaclat. And, Rastaclat is a brand all about spreading positivity. And we do this through a lot of different things like charities and cool partnerships. And we just happen to make these really unique and awesome bracelets. So, that's what I've been doing for the past 7 years. It's been an amazing journey.
7 years, man.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of the brands that I admire for, first of all, it comes from skate culture, right? But one of the brands that I look at and I'm like, the simplicity of it.
Yeah.
And to have something expand that large, the idea of it. So for now, first of all, give the listeners a little bit of a scope of your business, what it looks like, where you're reaching, how big is this thing gone
absolutely.
so far?
Rastaclat is fully global. We're in over 50 countries worldwide, so it's a global movement. Here in the U.S., you can catch us in Azumi's, Tilly's, Finish Line, Fanatics, Athlete's Foot, all these kind of stores. To date, we've actually put over 8 million bracelets on people's wrists around the world. So
8 million.
8 million. So
wow.
It's pretty
About
impressive.
50 of those are Stirdivants, just FYI. At least.
Yeah, man. You have to. Hey, everybody's been an inspiration to get there.
8 million people.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
8 million wrists.
8 million wrists.
Yeah, spreading positive vibrations one wrist at a time. That's what we're about.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So it's been a journey, and our message, spreading positive vibrations, seeking the positive. It's a message that spans any socioeconomic status, gender, race. Yeah. That's why we've seen it grow so much internationally.
And was that the message in the beginning? Did it always start off as seeking the positive?
Yeah. Well, actually, this is what happened. I'm going to school one day. I laced up one of my Mike Carroll Lakais.
Yeah.
And it came with an extra shoelace in there, and I decided to just braid this lace.
What year is this?
I'm about 17 years old, so it's probably about 2000.
Okay, so
2000. I'm in high school, right?
Wow.
And I'm skateboarding. And
what year were you born?
I was an 83.
Okay.
80s baby.
I'm 82.
There you go.
That's great years. Great years to be born right there.
Hey, man. A lot of shapeshifters coming from that era. So anyways, I make this bracelet with a little bit of my idle time, and I go to school. It's just something that I wanted to rock, just like creativity, and I love fashion. And so I make this thing. I burn the tips. I burned it together. It was nothing to be like to start a business off or anything like that. Right. But 10 of my homies were like, "Hey, Daniel, that's a really cool bracelet. Can you get one to match my fit?"
Whoa.
And it was back in the day where the hat, the shoes, everything had to match. And so I had a bunch of extra laces in my room from all the shoes that I was, running through. And I went to school the next day, and it just so happened that I gave them to my 10 friends. And initially, that kind of like entrepreneurial light came on, and I was like, "Hey, you got $5? I'll make you some bracelets." So, I made $50 in one day, which felt good. But what I didn't really anticipate was that next day I go to school and give those bracelets to my friends, and everyone would come back to me with a cool story of inspiration, or like they found some confidence in it because someone noticed them for the bracelet. So really that emotion.
And how quickly did you hear people saying that?
The same day, like
really,
yeah. So that what turned from like kind of like a monetary transaction turned into an emotional transaction.
Okay,
and that's where the why was born of like seeking the positive. I wanted to multiply that feeling by millions, and now hopefully it's been 8 million, right?
Wow.
So that was a goal, and it just happened to our why was born on the first day that I wore that first bracelet that I made. So that's when the why was born, and it's been the same ever since.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I'm really amazed when I walked through your headquarters, just the message behind everything, the way everything. Give the audience a little bit of an insight as to how the size of your building and how you laid it all out, and like what the different rooms represent. Give the group some insight there.
So we're in Lakewood, right behind the Long Beach Airport, 10,000 square foot space.
Beautiful space.
We got about 35 people at Rastaclat, beautiful humans, people that bring it every day. And we really laid out the space. We wanted to have a place where people call home, you know. We spend so much time there. And so for us, culture is so important, you know, and making sure that we all believe in the same thing and share the same values. So when you come to Rastaclat, everybody there is about passion, righteousness, integrity, discovery, and excellence. That's what we all breathe.
Which actually is an acronym for Pride, right?
For Pride.
Yeah, give everybody the breakdown again.
So Pride, our logo is a lion if you guys haven't seen it. And so lions, they roll in packs, and they're called prides.
Right.
And the interesting thing about lions is when they have cubs and they have seeds, they don't abandon them.
Wow.
It's the only cat family that doesn't abandon them. You think of leopards and panthers, they're always like solo or one or two.
Right.
And so it's about a family. And so when we decided to build the office, we wanted to make it a family environment. And really everyone in the Pride is part of this lion pack internally.
That's really cool, man.
And so we have this little gang.
I felt a little bit of like, who's this in here? You know, okay, as soon as they knew I was with you, it was cool. I got love. You know, but I felt a lot of respect in the space, and everybody really was like representing. Like homie in the warehouse was repping. He was hyped to be in the warehouse. Yeah. The sales crew, you could feel it. They were making the calls. The design team, they were hyped to be a part of that inspiration. Was the logo always a lion, and where did that come from?
The logo has always been a lion, and it came from, I think a lot of it comes from my upbringing. I was born in Kenya. And so if you know anything about Africa, Kenya, the lions just kind of graze the Serengeti. So it's just really strong, powerful figure. And so when I wanted to start Rastaclat, I was like, what is that figure that's going to represent this brand? And it was something that was strong. It was royalty. It was brave. It was courageous. Because at the end of the day, what lions do all day is trailblaze.
That's
you know?
it.
The plains, where are we going to go next? And for us, being a brand and a product that's not the average product that people come out with, it's been a lot of trailblazing. So it's really synonymous with who we are and our personality.
That's awesome, man. That's so cool. So how old were you when you moved to America?
I was 6 years old.
6?
Yeah.
What was that story all about?
Oh, man. I remember the day I left Africa. My parents had before they had GoFundMe, they used to have what they call in Swahili harambes.
Okay.
And so all the families in your neighborhood, we would throw a party and everyone would come in and donate. You know, so you do this GoFundMe for like a couple of months, and eventually my parents saved up enough money to get us on a plane out here. And I remember the flight in. I'm 6 years old, and it's funny how like my memory is more distinct from when I was younger than even now. But I'm looking at freeways. I've never seen a freeway.
Wow.
And it just looked like ants. You know, like when you see ants and they're all like these cars on, I've probably seen the 405 or something, or the 5, and I was like, whoa.
And you moved out here with your parents?
Yeah.
Okay.
I tripped out. I was bugging out because I was like, I'm truly in a different place.
Man. Did they have work set up for them here?
No, I mean, at the end of the day, my parents were pretty educated. They were they were agricultural engineers in Kenya, and they came here and they were like, you got to go to school again. So my parents technically went to college twice. So when they came here to the States, we were basically latchkey kids. We just stay home. My parents would work their job, and my dad was going to Cal Poly Pomona, and they hustled, man. I have to give a lot of love for them, man, because they gave it up for us. So
that's incredible.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
And so that was one of the moments that, like, I really felt good about what we've done, you know?
That it's causing people to feel a certain way. Because of what you poured into it. And it's like people are feeling the intention.
Yeah, and then it's also a reminder, right? Yeah. So, you know, we all go through good and bad times. Sometimes you look at your wrist, you're like, oh, yeah, I'm about this brand. I'm about positivity. So
that's awesome, man. Yeah. That's really cool. So that's all fun.
Yep.
Tell us about some of the hard stuff of building a business. What have been some of the biggest challenges you've had to overcome? Because from the outside perspective, I feel like I really noticed a shift. I don't know, maybe it was around a year or two ago. It was like everything just looked cleaner.
Yeah.
It just felt like it just shifted up, like everything.
Yeah.
So tell us about what happened before that shift.
Man, I think it's a constant evolution. You know, I think a brand and a movement constantly evolves. You know, like even us as humans, we evolve.
Right.
And one of the things that's interesting is Rastaclat will only evolve as much as I evolve as a leader. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think some people get kind of stagnant at that. So for us, it's all about elevating.
That's it, man.
You know, and even what you see today and what you're going to see next year is going to blow your mind. You know, and the journey is always trying to get better, and also make sure that every touch point that we have, whether it's our packaging, our website, how you see us in the retail store, all these things are consistent. You know, because you can't have this spreading positivity over here, but then have some ambassador that's not about positivity over here. Like, everything's really got to match up, and we've realized that the importance of that, and making sure that we're really disciplined about who we decide to partner with, who we decide to do things with. So I think that's been the biggest challenge, is understanding that everything really has to align for it to be impactful.
That's so good. Now, let me ask you this, too. Would you say that the challenges you've had in your business, when you break down any challenges you had in your business, if you break down your mind, your spirit, what you were going through personally in your mind, whether that's ego or whether that's frustration or whatever it might be, were you able to, have you ever noticed like exact connections between, that makes sense?
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, it's tough to pinpoint a time. Where kind of, it's almost like, when did I get in the way of the business?
Yes.
Sort of, in a way. And it happens a lot. And if you're not self-aware, when you try to impose your own things, because at one point your business, or I don't even like to call it a business, I call it the movement. At one point it's its own life form. Your job is to water it and make sure that the soil has nutrients, right?
That's amazing.
And sometimes when you try to control it too much, you actually disturb it from growing naturally. So as a founder and as a CEO, someone that has to make the decisions, you've got to kind of pull back sometimes and just let the CLATLIFers, we refer to them as a consumer, they're telling you what they want.
Right.
So when you have a movement or a business, it's like it evolves in its own, and so you have to know when to step back and let it flow and let it grow. And you got to know when to step in and maybe, sometimes when you want the vine to go that way, you got to just kind of put a little thing right there to make sure it's going the right direction. But just knowing when to step in and when to step out is an art that you have to learn.
Yeah. So what's grown further and bigger? Daniel or Rastaclat?
That's an interesting question. I think we're both at the same level, because what I've realized is whenever I've been stagnant in my life, the business has been stagnant. Whenever I've grown personally, the business has thrived.
It's awesome.
And not even that, the people around me have thrived, and the people around me have been inspired. And so as I go, I think Rastaclat goes too. In a sense, as long as I'm the leader, right. And so we're on par.
Awesome,
we'll keep pushing each other.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
very cool. So tell us then, what are some of the practices that you do, from your daily routine to your goal setting, your mindset, your spirituality? What does your daily routine look like, or consistent practices?
Consistent practices. I mean, for me, meditation first thing when I wake up is imperative. I have a very ADD mind, right? What wakes me up every morning is not an alarm. It's my brain knocking at me.
Right.
Hey, we got to do this. Get up. Let's get going. And it's like you actually have to shut it down. I used to just wake up and just go. Right. And now I actually shut it down, like collect my thoughts. I'll do meditation for 10 minutes.
So you hear people talk about meditation, though. Yeah. I find it very difficult to meditate. So my meditation has been running, and that's how I've been talking to the Lord and talking to my Creator as well, running. Because when I'm sitting quietly, I'm just like, so how do you do it?
Well, I use this app. It's called Calm. So it's very difficult for me to do it just by myself. I kind of need someone to walk me through it.
So it's a guided vocal meditation?
Yeah.
Interesting. How long have you been doing that?
I've been doing it for about half a year now.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. It was actually, I heard it from one of the casts that you did with Drama.
Okay.
And then I was like, I got to try this.
Yeah.
It's working for these guys.
Awesome.
So let's do it,
So it's the very first thing you do?
Yeah, very first thing I do, 10 minutes a day. Nothing crazy.
How many days a week?
5 days a week.
Nice.
At least, yeah. And then I give gratitude. I just say thank you for like whatever pops in my mind.
Do you write it down, or is it just something that you do?
I say it out loud.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Because here's what I think too, right? I think that it's easy to look at a personal development coach guy, a motivational guy, and like I have people who send me their list of what they do every single morning.
Yeah.
And I just think to myself, damn, that's a lot of stuff to do. And I think it's important for young aspiring entrepreneurs or just people in general to know, like, it's not about this thing that you have to do. Like, don't trip on writing out the list. Be with the list, right? Connect with it. Go to the energy and the intention that you're looking for, not just writing things down on a piece of paper.
Yeah, no, it's so true. And so at the very end of my list, I sort of have I have a note of how I go about my morning. It's my morning ritual. And at the very end, the last question that I ask myself is, what are you doing today to achieve those long-term goals? And if there's anything that you're doing today that's not intentional,
right,
take it off the list.
Yeah.
You know? And that's the last thing that I look at, because I have a daily list.
How many things do you usually have on your list?
Every day, it varies. But some days I know I'm not going to get a whole lot of kind of behind the desk work done. Okay. It just depends on my schedule, but it varies.
Yeah.
But I try to keep it concise because I want to have impact in what I'm doing rather than feeling rushed through things, you know?
That's all. Identified what your gift is. Like, that's that thing that I do.
Yeah.
What's that?
You know what's funny is as for a long time I could much more easily identify the things that I wasn't gifted at, which is sometimes just as important.
Right.
You know, but I think through time, I realized that my gift is the ability to manifest things. You know, I think I turned a extra pair of shoelaces into a global movement, along with the help of amazing people at Rastaclat, not just by myself and everyone that's out there that's supported, but being able to manifest that. People are always like, "That's crazy that you even did this," you know? So just having that vision and being able to see things that people might not be able to see and really making it come to life. And then I think my other gift is just the ability to connect with people, you know, of all different races, ethnicities. You could be a billionaire or you could be a kid in the street, and it's like, I'll connect with you, you know? Yeah. So I think that's something that I actually didn't realize it was a gift of mine until people started telling me, like, yo, like, you can connect with a lot of people, but I'm naturally pretty shy, you know?
Interesting.
And so I would say those two things is probably something that I have.
That's powerful. Now let me ask you this. Do you find it difficult being able to do your gift throughout the day because the world is trying to pull you in other directions? And do you have any techniques or strategies to stick with your gift and to stay in that lane of doing what you know you should do versus putting out fires and email and blah, 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 blah?
You know what's funny is actually I have a really amazing team of people that help me just do what I'm great at.
That's awesome.
You know, my business partner, Eileen Chen, she's the one that's in the business and putting out those fires every day.
Yeah.
And letting me
and that's
be
her
out.
gift.
Yeah, and that's her gift.
Yeah.
I don't know how she does it, but she's amazing at it.
How many years did it take to develop that team where you could be in that lane of following and doing the things you're meant to do?
Oh, man. I mean, it's an ongoing journey, but I think we just reached that point probably about a year and a half, 2 years ago. So awesome. It took about 5 years.
5 years.
You know?
And that's the make it or break it time, they say.
Yeah.
Right after 5 years, this thing's either going or it's not.
It's pivotal, yeah. But it took 5 years. But again, just to reiterate, it's really having the team around you that is complementary parts to you. So then they're covering all of your weaknesses, so you can focus on your strengths. So it's just building that environment. That's what I've had to do.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's really good. So what do you think are some of the keys of being a successful entrepreneur?
I mean, you guys have heard them all. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, it's really just about, for me, what worked for me was just being relentless. You know, never taking no for an answer.
Right.
You know, I've had experiences where people tell me no. Like, for instance, when I first tried to get into Zoomies, right? I called the buyer and I'm like, hey, like, I got this brand. This is amazing. And I remember it's Kate Cred and I love her to death. And she was like, you know what? We're not interested right now. And I was like, hey, you're going to be calling me in about 3 months asking for this brand.
Yeah.
And so I've never ever, even when I used to go to clubs, I never got into the front door.
Right.
We got into the back door.
That's it.
Or we went through a window. So it's that relentlessness of never ever giving up, and never, even when someone tells you no, it's just like it's more of like a no, not right now.
Right.
You know, so you just never give up. And then little do you know, Zoomies has been one of our greatest partners, and they've been with us for over 5 years.
That's
one of
amazing,
our biggest retailers, and we have such a great relationship. So relentlessness for me and my personality has been one of the main things.
Yeah. And see, I think when you have something you believe in, relentlessness is something that's highly attractive. When somebody has something that they believe in and they're pushing through and they're not accepting no for an answer because they've got something that they believe is valuable, you can't help but say, all right. Yep. On the flip side, I think you can be relentlessly annoying, right? Like I get hit up a lot through social media and people, and it's like, okay, this person is asking me the same thing over and over and over and over, but just try to help me understand why I should get this coffee with you.
Right.
Because for the 100th time, nothing has changed.
Well, I think the secret is you have to, no matter how relentless you are, you have to bring something of value.
Thank you.
Right? So value is key there.
Yeah.
I could have called Zoomies 100 times that had nothing of value, and they'd be still saying no to me.
Exactly.
So when they say no to you, it's really your job to do your homework, go back and say, why didn't I not bring enough value that one time?
Yeah.
And what can I do the next time I approach them to bring value? So if everyone took the time to do that and not just power email and LinkedIn and social media, and you actually thought about, what does Keven do? Like, what are his values? What are really, when I go to these meetings, like for instance, like the NBA, it's like, I'm not thinking about what I want for my business.
Right.
I'm thinking about, where's the NBA trying to go?
Amazing.
Okay.
Amazing.
And how do I elevate their plan and how do I fit into their plan and bring value? Yeah. And that's how you get the deals done.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I have an affirmation that I've said for the last 5 years, and I say, I let go of my agenda. I focus on making a difference for others. Yep. I say that over and over and over. I let go of my agenda. I focus on making a difference for others. So wherever I go, I'm letting go of my need for a commission. I'm letting go of my need to make a deal. I'm letting go of the need to pay my bills. I focus on making a difference for others wherever I go.
And you know what's funny is it's so counterintuitive. Mm-hmm. It's almost like, have you ever seen that Seinfeld episode where George has to think opposite? No. I don't know. I'm a Seinfeld fan. But he every time he does something opposite from what his mind tells him, he succeeds.
Right.
You know, and so
that's interesting.
For a lot of us, especially people that are relentless, it's like, I got to get this done. I got to get this done. But when you kind of stop and just think about the other person and you start focusing on doing something good for someone else or making someone else successful, the more success that you find.
It's interesting, right?
Yeah, it's weird how it works.
I told somebody earlier today that whenever you... many times when you commit to something, what shows up, what presents as itself is the opposite. Yep. You know, you commit to eating no carbs. So at lunch, somebody comes in and brings in donuts and pizza. You know, it's interesting how that happens.
Hey, that's how it goes down.
I've never asked anybody this before, but I think this is good for kids to hear and for people to hear who are aiming to reach out with powerhouse entrepreneurs. What would be the dream DM for you? What's some coaching that you could give some youngsters out there? What's the dream DM?
Like for someone that's trying to work with us, get a collab.
Because you know you get them. Maybe not even that.
Yeah.
The youngster who wants, hey, man, I love what you do, and this is how you get them. They say, hey, man, I love what you do. I just wanted to see if I could take 10 to 15 minutes of your time to pick your brain.
Yeah.
And you're like...
I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, I don't know. I mean, I think you get probably more DMs than I do, but I think for me... to get a meeting with me, I think you just got to. If someone really had a story and they can kind of lay it out, and they really showed me that there's a way for me to help them out, and they're willing to help themselves out, I'm more likely to take my time for that person. But it has to be thought through because if you're kind of getting hit left and right, it's difficult. You know how it is. But if it's thought through and I can feel that someone's actually putting in the work,
right.
It's about like if I see that passion inside of that person and they can communicate that through a DM, then I'm with it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What have been some of your biggest breakthrough moments on the journey so far? You've created some awesome, and before I forget, you got to share the Gucci story about what you thought it was this, but it was actually that. If you're open to it, I don't know how much you can share, but it's pretty awesome. Can you give the listeners the Gucci story?
Oh, man, the Gucci story is a good one. So some of you guys that started messing with Rastaclat in the early days, we had this bracelet. It was called the Gucci Green, and we dropped it when the Gucci Dunks were really hot, and it was that whole era. And we were really like doing well with this bracelet.
Yeah.
It was popping. It was crazy. And so one day I get home. I think the letter says February 11th, 2013. I still remember the day. And I get a FedEx and it's from Gucci Incorporated. And I'm like, damn.
We made it, dog.
We made it, man. Either I'm getting a collab or they want to buy this company or something. And so I got grin ear to ear.
Yeah.
And I started opening this thing. I rip off the little seal. open the letter, start reading it. Hey, Mr. Kasidi, da-da-da-da-da. You know, you're infringing on our trademark. You can't use green and red on a bracelet. You can't be calling it Gucci green.
Damn.
How many have you sold? How many are in inventory?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man, my grin just went from here to just to a look of horror. But you know, our brand was really only about like a year and a half old, so we hadn't been doing something right to be on Gucci's radar.
That's crazy.
Luckily, I was pretty wise as a young entrepreneur. The first thing that I ever did with my brand is patent our products, and trademark our brand in almost every known country.
Wow.
And bought every domain name in every known country.
Wow.
So when those type of things come up, we're able to really protect ourselves. And there's been brands that have copied us and some pretty notable ones. But that was a cool moment. That was a breakthrough moment, just knowing like, hey, if you're on Gucci's radar, you're doing something right.
That's amazing. Congratulations. So it wasn't a collabo, but it was it was a cease and desist.
Right. It was a cease and desist.
Yeah, that's kind of a collabo. That's awesome, man. So what else? What have been some of the biggest, like, holy-ish? I mean, that really just happened?
Yeah, I think the NBA deal was one that was a personal one for me because I'm a huge NBA fan.
That's crazy.
I'm a Kobe fan. I'm a Jordan fan. And before I started Rastaclat, I put it out there to get an NBA deal.
Wow.
And it wasn't easy, and I didn't get in the first time.
Yeah.
You know, and I think this kind of goes to show what manifestation will do. So how the NBA deal kind of worked out was you can submit an application and a marketing plan, you can send it in.
Right.
But you soon realize that like you don't get these deals by a really down-packed marketing plan. It's about who you know and your relationships. And so one day, my good friend John Guyton, he recommended me for Necker Island, which is Sir Richard Branson's island. And I was invited there to hang out with Sir Rich. I call him Sir Rich because that's what we're on right now. And and a couple other entrepreneurs. And little do I know, I meet this dude named Harry out there, and he's owned two NBA or two teams, basketball teams in Sydney. So he owns these two teams. And I tell him my story, and it's NBA playoffs while I was there, and the Warriors are crushing it, and we're watching basketball in a great house in Necker. And I was like, hey, I turned in an application about 2 weeks ago. And he's like, man, I'm going to the NBA offices next week, and I'm meeting with Adam Silver. Give me some samples, and I'll kind of give you the head nod. Next thing I know, a couple weeks later, hey, we got a deal with the NBA, and and that's when it happened. And so it was a really big breakthrough moment. And it was one of those moments. I don't really smell the roses too much. Right. One of those moments where like for 5 seconds,
crazy.
I literally like a lot of emotion came through me. But it was like a lot of things have to fall. A lot of the stars had to align. Right. And that's why it's about manifesting certain things, and also like putting yourself out there, put it out in the world. And that one was a big one for us.
That's incredible, man.
And the last one I can't forget is a team, man. My team, they're the reason why I'm even here. You know what I'm saying? I go to work every day, and I see how hard they work, and it makes me want to work even 10 times harder. And so they're my motivation every single day. The Rastaclat family and everyone that's out there. So I don't do this for survival anymore. Right. I do this for everyone else, and I think for every business there's that turning point of just like trying to make it to like trying to make impact happen. Yeah. And I think that's the space that I live in now.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. So what does manifestation mean to you?
Man, manifestation is having a vision, like truly having a clear, concise vision. And I know it sounds like this mystical thing, like manifestation, and you just think of it and it just happens. Right. But really being able to work at it every single day and do something, the tiniest thing every day, even if you do something small every day to accomplish that and to get yourself closer or put yourself in the right table for these things to happen, that's what manifestation is. It's not some magical thing that just happens. And I remember my philosophy when I was young, when I first started the brand, it was just like, it doesn't matter what I do today, do one thing that gets you to that vision. One thing every day. And now I apply that to everything, whether it's my health, whether it's like my relationships, one thing every day.
That's amazing, man. Yeah. Well, what I really took from that is for you, manifestation is about a journey, and it's about taking an action towards that. And I think, people get really caught up in that end zone, crossing that finish line, getting the check, getting the keys, whatever it might be. But, you know, once you do get there, you're going to look around and say, okay, well, now what?
Yeah.
And what really matters is that experience. You know, like tomorrow, I finish at 7:30 in the morning. I achieve 100 5Ks ran every single day.
Yeah, congrats, dude. Hey, well, I'll tell you congrats tomorrow, but yeah, I know you'll do it.
But that moment is not going to mean that much. I mean, maybe it will. We have some things planned for it. We might set off a mortar or two at the finish line, but the reality is it's what happened on this process there.
Yeah.
You know, and how my mind and how, you know, I was able to speak to the Creator in those moments. It's what we go through. Yeah.
That's fantastic. And I think at the end of the day, it's never about the destination.
Yeah.
There's really no finish line.
No.
You know, there's really no finish line. Really, it's about enjoying the journey. And I know a lot of entrepreneurs, and the happiest ones, the most fulfilled ones, enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
Because business and challenges or problem solving, to me, are synonymous. It's almost the same word. You're solving a problem every single day. So it is going to be an uphill battle in everything that we do. So if you don't love, it's like people that go to the gym. You have to love that
That's
pain.
it.
You gotta fall in love with the pain, and for business, you gotta fall in love with solving problems.
That's amazing.
You know? So
that's so good because it's common that we look at a problem and say, "Why is this happening to me?" And it's all about how you ask that question. You know, why is this happening to me? Versus, you can ask that from a negative place, but I think you could also ask that from a positive place.
Right.
Speaking it into existence, what will be a game changer moment in the future?
Man, for Rastaclat in general, my vision for this brand is to really build a true movement of positive movers. You know what I'm saying? I want to be able to, you see brands like Red Bull, right?
Right.
When has Red Bull ever sold you an energy drink, said, "Hey, Keven, I got this energy drink. It's beautiful. We got this beautiful blue can. It's got all this, you know, it tastes nice or whatever." They don't do that.
Right.
You know, what do they try to do? They jump off a spaceship.
That's it.
You know, they jump over the fountain in Vegas.
Right.
It's about, that brand is about pushing the limits.
Right.
And being the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
And so for Rastaclat, it's not going to be about selling bracelets. It's about how do we put out content? How do we really inspire people? You know, the bracelet is just a symbol of that inspiration. So for me, the breakthrough moment is when truly we're a household name that's known for educating the new generation.
Awesome, man.
Because at the end of the day, the way that I see it is, from first grade to ninth grade, you kind of have all the general knowledge that you need. Everything else, emotional intelligence, everything else that you have to learn, positive self-talk, all these things that we talk about are really from mentors or your parents. And some people don't have mentors, some people don't have parents, but they follow brands.
That's
so why can't we be that brand that is leading and inspiring and educating people? And that's my vision, and that's going to be the breakthrough, and I feel we've truly accomplished that mission.
So how many bracelets is that?
Oh man, so
because everybody's inspired, right? Clearly, that if you bought it, if you rocked it,
okay,
that's 8 million. What's the number?
I'll tell you, right? I used to have a sales guy, and I used to ask him, who's a Rastaclat demographic? He's like, anyone with wrists, right? So the goal is that counterintuitive thinking is the more people that we can inspire, the more people that will purchase our products and get behind our products. And so the sky's the limit. There's 7 billion people on the earth, so 14 billion bracelets. Let's get it.
That's awesome, man. So tell us about, finally, advice to others. Yeah.
So advice to others, I mean, I think the first thing is that I've learned is just positive self-talk. I know it sounds corny, but like, I'm one of those people that's in my head quite a bit sometimes, and just mind the things that you say to yourself, because what you say to yourself really affects how you approach life. And so being cognizant of that and being self-aware of how you treat yourself first and foremost, because you can't be of value to anyone if you're not good to yourself.
That's awesome.
And so I can give you a lot of business snippets and things like that, but it all starts with you.
Yeah.
You know, and if you're not good, nothing's going to be good, so. And
let me ask you this, were there things that you had to work through, like negative affirmations that you had to work through? And if there were, any insight on those, and how long did it take to change the way you thought about something that might have been holding you back?
Oh man, I think for me is, I think everyone has doubts and things like that, so I think sometimes when you put doubt in your mind, as relentless as I am, but still you struggle with those kind of things. When you put doubt in your mind, it hinders you from growing forward. And things that have helped me is things like meditation and being able to like curb those thoughts and be able to learn how to control how you think, you know, and control your mind and not let it be just a random machine gun of whatever the heck it wants to do. Yeah. You know, and so I don't know if I answered your question, but it's like that's what I've had to do in meditation and things like that, and giving gratitude and things like that have really helped me with my own mental game, my inside game. Because I think your mind is just like your body. Like people want to go and work out every day. Like, did you get your mental gym going today?
That's what I'm talking about.
You know what I'm saying? Like, get in the gym with your mind, and that's the strongest tool. So,
early as possible.
Early as possible.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. Shout out to that. This was amazing. So, any final thanks? Anybody you want to thank? Anybody you want to shout out? How do people follow? How do people get a hold of you?
First of all, I want to thank Project Mindset. Keven, appreciate you. I want to thank the whole Rastaclat team, the whole Pride out there, everybody out there that's ever represented and worn Rastaclat.
8 million.
8 million, all 8 million.
Soon to be 14 billion.
Absolutely. You can catch us on @Rastaclat on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Rastaclat.com. You know, check us out in the near future, and we're all about seeking the positive. So I'm looking forward to rocking with you guys in the future.
Let's go, man. There is no better way that I think we could have launched season 2 of Project Mindset. Thank you for doing this, man. I've been a fan since the get-go, and I'm just inspired to see where you're taking this thing and to see you continually grow, be a game changer, a difference maker on the planet. Thank you.
Thank you. Bless up.
Yeah. Woo. Thank you for listening. And as always, here are the questions I'd like to leave you with. I'd like to encourage you to write these questions down and take some time coming up with the answers. First question: what is something in your life that you have lying around that you could repurpose and upcycle that could make a difference for others? I think it's easy to get caught up thinking about consuming and adding more things to our life, thinking that's going to maybe give us something we need, when so many times that thing we need we already have. So take some time thinking about that question. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Number 2, I think this is one of the most important questions. But what's your gift? What's that thing you do where you shine the most? And what I really want to know is, how many hours a week are you spending doing that thing? Write that down. How many hours a week do you spend working on your gift? Lastly, question 3. Who's in your dream team? Who are your uplifters, your coaches, and your key players? And part 2 of that question is, how much time do you spend sitting with them, chipping away at the big picture? Thank you guys again. We are so inspired about season 2 and seeing this spread throughout the world. Please make sure you subscribe, leave some positive comments, tag me on Insta @Kevion, Kevion, and let us know about the impact this has made on you. Also, feel free to make any suggestions about people you'd like us to reach out to, connect with, and get on this show.